Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Operation Newblood. This is Newblood 11.8 and 11.9. We'll go ahead and get started with KMT turn. The KMT have 8 to spend. They will be buying 2 mountain infantry that they will be placing in Yunnan. They won't have any combat. All that they'll be doing is moving the land task force from Quechgao to Yunnan. Okay? And they are 3 IPP. They get +2 for the Burma Road, so they will have 5 to spend next turn. Okay, so let's continue on to the American turn. So we'll start with the tech rolls. They'll be doing improved construction, amphibious doctrine, and heavy strategic bombers. So improved construction at a 7+. That's a 3. It's a fail. Amphibious doctrine at a 7+. That is a 9. So amphibious doctrine moves up to stage 3, and heavy strategic bombers at a 9+. And that's a 4, so that's a fail. So just at 1 there. With the units we will be buying, the Americans had 57. The Germans convoy rated 1 line for 2 IPP, so we have 55 to spend. We will be buying 2 fighters for 20, 3 medium armor at 6+, so that's 18. Have 7 left. We'll be buying just a transport. Okay, and we'll move on to combat. Okay, so and we do have 10 left to spend. That was only 45 of our 55. So that 10 that we'll be spending, we will be using to attack Portugal. We'll be declaring war on Portugal. And just before I start, talked to Mark, and he said that the Portuguese, if they're attacked, they go German. So from what I can tell, there is 1 militia in Portuguese East Africa, and that is all that I see. And Portuguese Timor over by Australia, that's not an IPP value. So all this will do is put the Germans up 1, because they will get Portuguese East Africa, and that militia there will go German. And those units that are in Portugal, the torpedo boat destroyer and the militia, they will go German as well if they survive. Okay, so with the Portugal combat, we have a screening force and a continuing force. We have a screening force of 2 coastal subs, 2 light cruisers, and 2 destroyers. Okay, and just make sure. Yeah, and the light cruisers do get a target select at a 3. Okay, so we will go ahead and the continuing force will be the 2 battleships, the heavy cruiser, the fleet carrier, and the 3 transports with the 3 infantry and 2 marines. Okay, so let's move on to some dice rolling. Okay, and I want to make sure you guys can see everything. A little bit of glare on my screen, so it's kind of hard to tell. But all right, so we will go ahead and start rolling here. So we have 2 coastal subs, and coastal subs attack at a 2 first strike. So if they hit here, the battle will be over. And awesome, that coastal sub rolled a 1, so that ends the battle, and he does not get a defense roll. So the screening force is successful. So they will move on, or move out of the way for this continuing force that is moving into A35. And we have the 2 Marines and 3 infantry conducting an amphibious assault on this militia. But before we do that, we have the 2 battleships that do a shore bombardment at a 4 or less. So we'll go ahead and roll those. Shore bombardment at a 4 or less, they miss. And the heavy cruiser that does a shore bombardment at a 2 or less. And that's a 5, so that's a miss. All right, so we'll continue on with the 3 infantry attacking at a 2. And I see no hits. And we'll continue on with the 2 infantry attacking at a 2. And that's a 1, so that's a hit. So now we have the militia that defends at a 2. And that's an 11, so that is a miss. So the militia dies valiantly, and the Americans take Portugal, and that will bump them up 1 IPP. Okay. All right. And so the transports after combat, and that is the only combat we had. I forgot to mention that. I announced it and then just did it. But so we have the 3 transports. They moved 1. They will move back to the Azores, as well as the 2 destroyers. They all had movement left, and the coastal subs can only move 1, so they're there, and the 2 light cruisers. Actually, just the destroyers. The destroyers will go. The light cruisers will stay. Okay. So you guys can see. So 2 battleships, heavy cruiser, the subs, and the light cruisers, as well as the fleet carrier in A35. Then you have your transports and 2 destroyers in A39. Okay, so we will move on to non-combat. Yep. So we'll move on to non-combat. Okay. So let me go ahead and zoom you out here. All right. So we have the 5 light cruisers that are in A30. They will use the major port bonus and move 4 over to P31. Okay, which is right off the coast of Mexico. Okay, So all those will move to P31. Okay. The 4 infantry, or I have 4 infantry. 1 in the Great Lakes. 1, oh, knocked the American militia down, breaking his world. The infantry, I think it was in DC. It was kind of on the line, but I think it was in DC. And the 2 infantry in the Northeast, they will railroad over to the Pacific, or I'm sorry, was that the Southwest United States. Okay, and I will do a troop update at the end. Okay, so they will move there. Okay, the infantry in Texas will move to the Great Plains, which is right next to the Southwest United States. And the destroyer that was trying to travel over to A8, it had to stop in P1, but it'll use this turn to finish traveling through the northern passage up in Russia to A9. So it will be at A9 at the end of this turn. Okay. The American destroyer in A18 will come off of escort duty and travel 4 to A6 to the British task force that is blockading northern England and Scotland. Okay. The seaplane in A35 will come off map and will fly down to Puerto Rico. Okay. Okay. Oh, and the destroyer in A45 will stay on escort duty and travel to A47 on that convoy line. Okay. Okay, so that is all the non-combat that I have. We will go ahead and place units. So we have the 2 fighters and transport that are on this east side of the world. I guess west side if you're looking at the map, but east side United States. The transport will get made out of DC, and the fighters, 1 fighter will be made in the Heartlands and 1 fighter will be made in Texas. And then we have the 3 medium armor, and they will all be made in the Southwest United States. So we'll go ahead and move y'all over here to the Southwest United States. Okay. All right. So, and I'll have to put a land task force up here to make this work. But we have in the Southwest United States, we have 1 artillery, 2 infantry, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 infantry, as well as 3 medium armor. Okay, and so those are all in the Southwest United States, and I'll make or I'll put a lane task force marker there. The medium armor that is in the Pacific Northwest it will move 1 to the western United States. Okay? And there are 5 infantry, and now that 1 medium armor. And then we have the planes that are all in the Pacific Northwest. Okay? And we actually could have placed one of those fighters there, but it's all right. So we will now go to the collect income phase. So the KMT, they stayed at 3, but they gained 5, or they have the +2 for the Burma Road. So they will collect 5 to spend next turn. The United States, they moved up 1 to 56, and they will have 56 to spend next turn at this time. Okay? Because they spent everything that they had. Alright? Alright guys, this is Lancer Bolt signing off with Operation Newblood 11.8 and 11.9. You guys take it easy.